let's do lunch. And I'll tell you a funny story. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I was thinking of the story really early this morning and I was laughing my head off. So, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But I apologize ahead of time. In case I get like hysterically crazy. Or I might not, because I laughed so hard this morning, I might be all laughed out. But anyways, lettuce leaves, cheese and chips, and leftover Olive Garden dressing. All right. So again, I apologize. And this gets a bit crazy. And I don't mean to be mean or make fun of anybody who has to do. This had a wonderful, happy ending. Nothing terrible happened. No animals were harmed. No humans were harmed. It is so funny. And please don't get mad at me for laughing. As I had a good turnout. Everything went fine. But it involved me. This happened about 10 years ago. And I had to oh my gosh. I had to dial 911. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I'm going to start laughing again. I was laughing so hard this morning. Okay, it had me dialing 911. And then they had to take our relative. Oh my gosh. We had to take our relative to the emergency room. And I think the reason why it's funny is it happened. It happened 2 days in a row. Either the exact same relative or the exact same terrible circumstance. And almost half the same paramedics showed up. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm not even going to be able to dip my chip. Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, this was about 10 years ago when I was taking care of a family. A senior. They were recovering from a very mild stroke. Not a big deal. Well, at the time, of course, when somebody's recovering, that is a big deal because you want them to be healthy. But, so what had happened is, because they were recovering from a stroke, they were at that time was not able to communicate too well. So I volunteered to hang out and take care of them for the weekend. And it was a hot summer. I remember it was really hot, super hot. And so I show up on like Friday evening. I was gonna watch them like Friday evening till like Monday afternoon. So my other relatives were going to get like a really good weekend getaway, right? And I wasn't anticipating anything. I'm so sorry. I can't even believe this. And the senior was incontinent at the time. And it's kind of funny because you know how when I go through Amazon and I always tell you about those senior diapers, and I always remind you not to call them diapers because it's really, you know, if a senior citizen has to use these, you know, to call them diapers isn't nice. Call them adult underwear, or it depends. But every time I see the bag of Depends, this story kind of flashes by in my mind, and I have a little chuckle. But anyways, so again, no big deal. There, even though they were recovering from a stroke, all these other little things were not like such a terrible thing going on in life. It was just a brief period of time. So anyway, I do remember it was really hot. So Friday night comes, and you know, a normal night and not a big deal. But so the next day comes, and I'm taking care of a relative, and I get up in the morning, and we're having like a little sponge bath and putting a clean everything, clean sheets, clean underwear. And so as I'm getting them up, they're kind of hobbling. They're kind of, instead of just standing up straight from the bed, they're kind of hobbling as if there's hot coal. As if there was hot coals on the floor. They were just like having a foot frenzy. So I set them back down and I said, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? But because they were recovering from a stroke, they couldn't really communicate well. So I'm looking at their feet, and I put better socks on. So I'm thinking the socks are itching their feet. I'm thinking all this stuff, right? Okay, we put new socks on. We get up. Oh my gosh, it's even worse this time. So now they're starting to kind of yell, like, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, I don't know what's wrong, but have your meal, your breakfast is over here on the tray. I thought we were going to have breakfast. So I guess that kind of distracted them. So we get up, I put them in their chair. They're ready to eat. And we're eating it every once in a while. Every once in a while, they just are uncomfortable. They can't sit still, and they start kind of yelling out. I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? Okay, so we finish. We get ready to go back to, we finish up our breakfast, TV, and so it's time for, to make our bathroom visit. We do all this stuff. And so they put their pants back on. We're going to go watch TV. And again, every once in a while, they start screaming bloody murder. And their feet keep bouncing around. So all I could think is this, for some reason, their feet must be falling asleep, and it must feel like there's pins and needles in their feet. So this goes on all day.
And you can see the pain. You can see the pain on their face. So it's not like they're just trying to be mean and do all this stuff. Because maybe they're upset that I'm the so-called babysitter. But you could see something was really painful. So then I'm doing all this back in my brain thinking, do you have restless legs? And I thought it was a nighttime thing. And I thought, do you have restless legs? And my sister, my relative forgot to tell me your medicines last night. So I remember like texting her saying, does so-and-so have restless legs syndrome? They said, no, why? I said, oh, I didn't want them to not have fun. But I wanted to make sure I didn't forget a medicine because it looked like it was so painful. So, so I said, no, why? I said, oh, no reason. I said, I was just wondering because a lot of old people have it. I was just wondering. So then, oh my gosh. And the reason why I was so confused is it wasn't constant, like every second painful. It would go a few hours and then it would punch up again. It would go a few hours. It'd be like World War III, yelling and screaming like they were writhing in pain. Okay, so nighttime comes. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. But then the next morning, oh my gosh, it was terrible. And so I said, no, I don't know what's wrong. By next morning, so that was what morning? That was Saturday morning. I said, I have to call 911. You're in pain and I don't know what's going on. And everything was good. I took his vitals. Like he wasn't having a heart attack. All of this stuff was good, but his face, you could tell he was, oh my goodness, he was completely, definitely in duress or whatever it's called. So paramedics come, they take all his vitals, they say the same thing. So, well, there's no bad. But they heard him yelling and screaming. They said, well, he's definitely in some kind of so excuse me. So 911 comes. They take him to the hospital. And they just say, ma'am, you want to come with us? I said, oh, that's okay. I'll go on my own car. So getting ready, I hear the ambulance speeding away with the sirens. Sirens blaring. And I'm just shaking my head saying, I cannot believe this is happening. So I get to the hospital. And as a doctor who knows, and we know because it's just been at that hospital forever and ever and ever. So I was familiar with that relative. So they see that he is writhing in pain, yelling, and then it'd be quiet. And then time would go by and yelling and screaming again. Doing all these tests. They're doing all these tests. And they do a urine thing. He has to pee in this thing. That doctor is doing all this stuff. Looking in his eyes, running these blood tests, all this stuff. They were really attending to him like quickly and right away, and the doctors right there, because it sounded terrible when you heard him yelling and screaming. So then when it would subside, the symptoms were this, like he's writhing in pain, then it subsides, and then he's his normal self. And then he's his normal self. Life is good, and then 3 or 4 hours go by. Then it happens again. Nobody has a clue. The tests come back. Everything's fine. There is no problem. And I wasn't going to call my relatives and tell them we were at the ER until I knew exactly how bad it was, because I was like hovering back and forth. I said, well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. And they're trying to have a fun weekend. No. All of these tests come back, there's nothing. So, I'm so sorry. The good thing is, there's nothing terrible going on. And they said, do you think he's upset that his family is gone and that you're the taking care of him? I said, I don't know. And they said, well, that would answer why he's good for a few hours and then he has an outburst, because he probably has an outburst in pain. He's angry. Oh my gosh. You could tell he was angry, or upset, painful, angry. And then he gets it out of his system and he forgets about it. So that made sense to me. So they sent us home, and the symptoms continue, same old thing. But the next day, it was like 10 times worse. When he gets up that morning, yelling, screaming. Excuse me. And then I was really getting scared, thinking, what if this person is dying and having these little spooky encounters with death or thinking about it, but can't tell us? So I get really scared, because now the yelling and the pain is like terrible. Yeah, I called 911. Almost the exact same crew from the day before, from the morning before. Excuse me. Come. But I said, I am so sorry, something's wrong. And they said, ma'am, you're right. We remember you from yesterday, but we can tell it has really gotten worse. His yelling and screaming is worse. His behavior is worse. His face looks more okay. Oh my God. And again, the doctor, different doctor, but is familiar with what happened, because he, I guess, was leaving at the same time we were coming in, or something. So I was out. Remember? I said I was leaving, and he looked at all the tests. He said, "Well, this is probably something." There's a couple little things we can look at that might be the problem, but usually it's not that painful as anything. So we're sitting there again. Then again, he's normal. Everything's good. A few hours go by, yelling and screaming. So they tell me, they some kind of prescription for like some B12 or something. They said, well, he's a little low in a handful of things. Excuse me. Not anything that would be like life debilitating, but maybe his condition is just really affecting him. So why don't you go pick up this? They're not prescription pills or supplements, but I'll give you a prescription for them, and they can have them really, really quick at the pharmacy. Excuse me. So I go pick up the stuff. I don't think I went, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I have somebody pick it up for me and bring it.
So we go home, and now my nerves are really frazzled now because
This has been going on.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm getting all choked up. But anyway, so by the time we get home Sunday afternoon, total miracle. I know I have total miracle. We go home, and I'm thinking to myself, he's just exhausted, and he's in bed. Mom, I'm thinking, it is hot, it's so hot. And I know because of his incontinence, I need to, even though he's exhausted, I can't come to the bathroom, I'm going to do the best I can while he's laying down, kind of quiet, to change him and put some nice, fresh adult depends on him. I always going to feel so much better. I'm doing everything I can to just make him feel good.
You will never believe what was creating all the commotion.
So, excuse me, when I said, come on, let's I get like a cold wash rag and I put it on his forehead. I said, are you feeling better? And he could tell he's feeling better. I said, how about we just change your pants? And I said, you're going to feel better if I change your pants. And his face got real frantic. You will never believe this. And roll him over. He had the worst rash on the back side of his bottom, like all underneath. It wasn't a rash in the front. It was the worst rash, like right in his bottom. In his bottom. You'll never believe how terrible this was. The worst red rash ever.
And it looked like it had broken some of the skin.
And again, I'm not making fun. I'm not laughing at anybody's situation. It dawned on me, no wonder he was screaming bloody murder. It had to have been hurting so bad. And everything made sense because every time he would urinate, it would burn.
That's why he'd go crazy, like every 3 or 4 hours. And that's why he was jumping around on his feet. It wasn't his feet, it was his bottom. But when he stood up and his bottom would chafe, or his bottom would rub, and it would burn. So he would try to move his feet so he could be comfortable. Oh my gosh, you guys. So when every time I think of that, every time I think of that, I laugh myself silly, as again I did in this video. That's terrible. But so there it was. All the testing and everything that had been done twice, 2 911 calls, 2 trips to the ER, 2 different doctors, and went home with flying colors. There was really nothing wrong. And if it hadn't have been the fact that he was so tired, and I kind of rolled him over to take care of his pants on the bed, who knows how long it would have been before someone figured out what that was. But maybe it would have been sooner if I know, just the situation was different. But it's pretty obvious that, if anything else had happened, other than, excuse me, than the way it was. But can you believe that? So I did call the hospital back
and tell them, because everybody was sick. They couldn't believe how painful this guy was, and they couldn't find anything wrong. So that's terrible. All it was a rash, like on his bottom that you couldn't really see. Terrible. Oh my gosh. Now, what am I going to name this video? I don't know if I could say, I don't know if I can call it an ASMR video with all the hysterical laughing. But, anyway. So, if you're ever in that predicament, having a senior citizen who can't complain, can't communicate, but they're screaming bloody murder. And jumping around like they're hot coals on the floor. And they wear adult pants. And it's during the hot summer months. It could be. They might have some kind of skin rash. Now, when my relatives came home on Monday, I used cornstarch. That was a huge help. So, anyway. So when my relatives came back on Monday, they asked how the weekend went. I said, well, everybody's fine. Everything's good. We had a good ending. And they said, well, what happened? I said, well, all it was a rash. But I did have to dial 911 because I didn't know what it was. And they got a little bit panicked, but I had a happy ending. Anyway. Remember, if you know somebody, now not everybody's gonna like this kind of a video, because they're gonna think I'm making fun of the situation, which I'm not, because it had such a happy, simple ending. And now, when we talk about it here 10 years later, and we remember that weekend, we all laugh about it. So, I know some people are just gonna pitch a fit and not like this video. If you think you know somebody who would just be happy and have a good laugh, I'm going to share this video with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.